So why and how to approach working with the spine? Let's look at our daily activities. When in these daily activities do we use our spine and how much do we use our spine? Let's say, for example, walking. When we are walking, do we use our spine a lot? And if so, how? When walking, our hips move, our legs move, then our hips move, then our pelvis moves, and then also a part of our spine moves. So, yeah, our spine is moving when we are walking, but is it really the intention behind walking to move our spine, or is it just to go from A to B, which is completely natural? How much when walking do we use our spine? I think not that much. At least we don't really challenge our spine. Of course, in daily lives, activities like sitting, if you can call it an activity, but sitting, do we use our spine? Then most of the time, not so much. Most of the time, we just sit very rigidly, don't really do much with our spine. Maybe sometimes we stretch it, which is really good, but most of the time, we don't really use our spine when we are sitting. But let's say, for example, from sitting to standing up, we are sitting, we lean forward, then we go standing up. Yeah, we do use our spine a bit when we go from sitting to standing up. When we walk on the staircase, for example, we also walk. This is a form of walking, but we use more flexion in our hips and more pushing. Therefore, in my opinion, we already use our spine a bit more. Or, for example, when we are cycling, especially in a place like the Netherlands, we cycle a lot. So, this is definitely going to be in the list of daily activities. When we are cycling, we are also using our legs, and therefore our hips, pelvis also rotates a bit. So, yeah, we do use our spine a bit then. But with all these activities, are we really challenging our spine? In my opinion, not so much. Now let's go a little step further. When we are doing certain sports, do we use our spine a lot? Let's say running. For me, this is just accelerated walking in general. We walk, again, use our legs, our pelvis. Of course, this has a bit more impact on our body, so as well the spine. But in general, again, is our spine really engaged with it? Not that much. I would say for 95% of the people running, you're not really engaging with our spine. But this can be a different case. If you're really into the biomechanics behind running, you will know about the figure of eight, which Tim Sheath and David Weck talk about. So I would highly suggest checking that out. If you run in this way, yeah, the attention and the challenge will be put more on the spine. We go to the gym, something regarded as the health station for a lot of people. Do we use our spine much here? Not really. Okay, maybe when you're doing some rotational abdominal work, yeah, your spine is in this movement, but most of the time we're doing a lot of bilateral weightlifting in this gym. So we don't really use our spine much. Now we go, for example, to tennis. With tennis, we can see we already use our spine a lot more. Baseball, already more engagement with the spine. But with these sports, is the spine really challenged? Also, is the attention more on the spine? Because usually it looks like we use our arms and our legs more, also with more range of motion. And the spine is just a structure sitting in between it, not really used, not really engaged in the sport. Then we look at martial arts. When we're doing a high kick, our body has to bend to be able to get the freedom and range of motion to execute this kick. So with martial arts, because it's so much more unilateral as well. We have to balance on one foot while we use another foot, also use a lot of rotation in our punches. With this comes already a lot more engagement with the spine. And going further from martial arts, let's say dancing. I would say dancing focuses a lot on the spine. Actually, a lot of dances as a focal point is the spine. So yes, with dancing there is already a lot more engagement and attachment and attention to the spine. Yoga, also already a lot more engagement with the spine. Well, and so on and so on. You can see that going from our daily activities to more certain sports areas, the attention and engagement with our spine is already increasing. Now, this is just looking at how do we use our spine in our daily life. I just want to set a certain environment or context of the topic we're about to discuss, which is why and how to approach working with the spine. Now, does our spine really get the attention it deserves? Let's dissect this sentence. Does our spine get attention? We talked about this just now. This is the environment or the context of the topic we're about to discuss. So I would say for most people, not really. It doesn't really get a lot of attention. And the other part of this sentence, it deserves. Does it deserve this attention? In my opinion, this is 100% a big yes. And there are two main reasons for this. One reason, I will link a video I made like half a year ago about you are as old as your spine is able to move. In this video, I explain a lot about why this structure, the spine, is so important, not only for the ranges of motion, but actually for a lot of communication in the whole body. Because your body is really just sacs of fluid communicating with each other. And this communication all has to go through the spine. The spine really is the central communication center. But like I said, I will link this video in the description so you can check that out. And the other part of why I think it deserves more attention, this is more a practical reason, is because the spine really is the integration of our arms and our legs. Everything we do with our legs influences the spine. Everything we do with our arms influences the spine. So when we play tennis, for example, we are using our arms and our legs, but we're also using our spine. Actually, a lot of the engagement with the activities we do is spine related. So why do we somehow kind of neglect this central component of our being? Now, I'm not the first person to think about this. Definitely not. It's not even my idea. There are a lot of people already talking about the importance of the spine. One of the people talking about the importance of the spine is a person named Serge Krakovetsky. Now, I don't know if I pronounce this that well, but I will show the title of this book here. He talks about the importance of the spine as the engine of movement, actually, not just something sitting in between the main parts of which we use our body. Well, this Krakovetsky guy, he made a point that the spine is actually the engine for movement. So when we move, we're not only moving our legs, actually, where it originates from is the motion of the spine, which can create this motion. So why not integrate this into any physical activity? Baseball, for example, it's not just that the spine is stuck between the arms and the legs. No, the legs and the arms are attached to the spine, working together with the spine. The spine is the first thing that develops. Then the arms and legs are kind of growing out of these. which gets me to the fluidity aspect of this idea. Where do we come from? Now, evolutionary, we can say we come from the sea, but even if we take evolution out of this, because there are some people that don't really like this idea, just objectively, where do we come from as a being? Where do we originate from? When does the cell become more cells, more cells, more cells, creating what we know as a human being? This is in the womb or the uterus. And what kind of environment is this? Yeah, a fluid environment. So we are originated from this fluid environment. And this fluid environment is very important. Why is this always a fluid environment? Why not a hard environment like we walk in the rest of our lives? This fluid environment is key for communication and transformation. So a fluidity is a component for good communication, then it's not that weird to think that if we become more fluid in our body, especially the spine, the communication of our whole body as a system will also become a lot better. Therefore, it can communicate better, it can adapt better. So this is the why component of approaching working with the spine. Now the how component of working with the spine. Well, to get better at anything, we need to challenge it. Otherwise, there's no reason for this system to transform. And if you want to know more about this transformation, you can check out the video I just made about polarity and the mechanism behind creation or transformation, you could say. But for now, if we want to get better at something, we need to challenge it. So how do we challenge our spine? There are two main ways in these polarities to challenge our spine. We have a fluidity polarity side and a rigidity polarity side. Now, a lot of people are already mostly leaning towards the rigidity side, not only because we sit a lot and we don't really challenge our spine a lot, but also when we train our spine, it's mostly in the context of, for example, weightlifting. And with this comes a bilateral approach where we stiffen our spine because we need to be able to hold this weight instead of being fluid with the spine. And in movement and motion and communication, fluidity is a key component. So I would suggest also giving more attention to the fluidity part of this approach. And this we can break down in several ways. And two ways is a wave and a spiral. These are two fluid characteristics, and this is two ways we can approach working with the spine. So this is the how component. With waves, I mean the spinal waves, and with spirals, I mean the rotational component of the movement in the spine. Now, next I will make two videos. One, we go over the wave part of the spine, and the second, we go over the spiral part of the spine. So if I have piqued your interest and you want to work on this fluidity aspect of your spine, then I would suggest checking these two videos out. Both sides of this polarity is okay, but leaning too much to one side of the polarity can make you fragile because you become a specialist. So try to get the other portion as well, which I will explain in my next two coming videos about waves and spirals. How do we approach working with the spine on a practical level? How do we induce fluidity into the spine? So, morph well, be well. See you in the next two videos.